Hi, I'm Zaprazny, and welcome to the Inner Game Coach Show. We spotlight leaders who are making a positive impact in sports, business, and beyond. Today's guest is someone who truly embodies that spirit, Tori Whitcher, founder of the lineup. Tori, welcome. You know what? Tori is redefining exposure events for field hockey and lacrosse athletes, creating an environment where players can showcase their skills, connect with coaches, more importantly, bring their best selves to the field. So I'm thrilled to have Tori here. And before we jump in, I want to invite Tori. Listen, Tori, can you share your journey as an athlete and what inspired you to create the lineup?
Yeah, so I played Division I field hockey at University of Richmond, and I had a lot of experience in like field hockey camps, and my dad owned a big field hockey camp back 20 years ago. I worked for the family business, and I loved the space, right? And then the pandemic hit, and we all know what happened with the
We never go back.
And at the time, I was doing international sport tours over to Europe. So obviously that was completely non-existent at the time. So I was essentially out of a job, and all these athletes, all of my athletes were at home. They couldn't go to school. They couldn't train. I think we all remember what that time was like. So I started doing big online events. So I would do like college recruiting seminars online. I had a TV show online that I hosted 3 times a week. I did one for goalies, field players, and coaches. We would have thousands of live viewers every single week during the height of the pandemic. And one question that kept coming up and up again was recruiting. And I've counseled a lot of athletes through the recruiting journey prior to that. And everyone was freaking out about recruiting. And so it was like, for months and months and months, I was thinking, how can we make the recruiting process better? Because I personally I did not have a great recruiting journey when I was in high school. It was like really, really, really stressful for me. So I really felt for these athletes going through this stressful time, especially during the pandemic. So literally one day when I was meditating, it like popped in my mind. It was like one of those, like I got up from meditating and I was like, oh my God, I have it. And I immediately called my dad. I was like, Dad, I think I have an awesome idea. And he was like, Tori, that's the best idea you've ever had. And so
we love that.
The lineup. And essentially the lineup is a one-day event at one venue. You bring together 30 to 40 top college coaches, and you run dozens of mini individual small group college clinics. So that coach, for example, the Brown coach, she's running a Brown 1-hour clinic capped at just 18 field players. And that's her own clinic. And athletes can pick and choose which clinics they do. It's fully customized schedule. The athletes get the power. Because one thing that I tell all my athletes to do, which I recommend you athletes watching, is when you're starting your recruiting journey or in the middle of your recruiting journey, you need to have a college list of schools that you are interested in, academically, and also field hockey, lacrosse, or whatever your sport is. But you should have 20 on your list, and you can't get to the campus of all 20 of those schools. So, anyways, that's kind of my journey of how the lineup came to be, and now we're in lacrosse, which is really exciting.
Well, there are a couple things that jumped off the page. One, while I was meditating, I'm like, girl, I meditated about 45 minutes before our call. I'm like, bring it down.
Oh,
So,
I should have done that.
right, so I love that you got that meditation practice, and I often am pulling athletes into that space because, the performance anxiety is just too high. But we'll put that to a later question. So you said a couple things that really jumped off the page, like athletes get to pick. Right. So there are so many exposure events out there. Right. And I think what you said is what truly differentiates the lineup from other events. So walk us through that as if I was a participant who was scheduled, registering for one of your events in terms of that ability to pick.
Yeah. So it's a multi-step registration process. So we usually open up the event like 4 months before the event starts. You go in and register. And then about 2 months beforehand, we send you a bunch of emails, with all the info. But you go in and select your top 3 schools. So all of our athletes are guaranteed to work with their top 3 coaches in 3 schools. And then 2 weeks later, you can go back in and register for additional clinics. So 4th, 5th, 6th clinics if you choose. So everyone gets what they want. It's a really great opportunity for the kids because they create their own customized schedule, and also the college coaches know that the athletes in their clinic selected them. So and you get that guarantee. Like when you go to like a standard showcase, for example, you don't know if a coach is watching you. And sometimes even if you go to a big like college camp, you don't even get that guaranteed time like with that coach. Sometimes you might just be working with like the athletes on their team or other coaches there. So I think the guarantee is really important for athletes and also their parents. So
I think the guarantee is brilliant. I have a daughter who plays volleyball at the D3 level. We put some money into those exposure showcases. No guarantee, wild card. So I love what you built. So how does your process create a better experience, not just for the athletes, but for the parents and for the college coaches?
Yeah, so, well, for the parents, before I was in field hockey for a career, I was in customer service. So I think just like, I think we need to hold event organizers in youth sports to a higher standard, like you should be responding as an event organizer, like you should be responding within 1 business day, like you should get your questions answered. And you should be getting all the information, like via email and never having to question like, oh, what do I need to do? Where do I need to check in or park or anything like that? And I think like, you shouldn't have to go wait in line, when you get there and like, wait for 20 minutes to check in or anything like that. It should be a seamless experience. You should know where the bathrooms are, and you should know what to pack. Is there seating? Is there not seating? Is there air conditioning? Is there not air conditioning? Things like that. So I think that we need to hold event organizers to a higher standard. So yeah, it's just so important to like that the parents also have a great experience, and that starts right when you register and leading up to the event. And then for college coaches, I mean, we treat college coaches like they are our customers. Like we, same deal, like providing, all the information that they need up front, like responding to their emails and texts immediately. And then just running a really good business outside of like the actual event day. Everything leading up to it, it's just like being a good business owner and running a good business.
Yeah, so I love that, right? And I love you have a history of customer service, return phone calls, proactively communicate. Nice concept.
Yeah,
I love
when
it.
we first
Oh
launched,
gosh.
yeah, when we first launched in Lacrosse, parents were like, "Oh my gosh, thanks for responding so quickly," and it was like, they're like, "Oh, most camps like don't even respond." It's like, what? Like, so.
I love it. I love it. All right. So I have had athletes, not athletes going to your events, but athletes text me like on a Friday night before a showcase.
Yeah.
Really stressed out.
Yeah.
Right. So the performance anxiety when it comes to exposure can be really high for athletes. So what are some of the things you do to help athletes like bring it down, feel a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more relaxed?
Yeah. So I think it's giving them the resources and all the information that they need. So, like, for example, we host all these free recruiting Zooms throughout the year where parents and athletes can come live with me and a colleague, Phoebe. She's our head of college recruiting. And they can come and ask us any questions. And we also tell them how to be prepared. Because I think if you have all the tools and all the resources that you need, you can, like, come in just feeling more confident. So, for example, like, emailing the college coaches that you're working with in advance, and we give them a template to send out, and just having that confidence of like, yeah, okay, like it's not like, do I email the coach? Do I not? Like, when do I email? It's kind of like having that confidence of, no, this is what I send. This is, I know what I need to send. This is when I need to send it. We give them tips on like how to talk to the coaches, at, during the clinics. And this is whether you're at a lineup or, a standard camp, asking the asking the coaches questions and like knowing what questions to ask them. Telling them that they need to follow up via email with the college coaches, thanking them. For example, like after the clinic, we recommend that they write down 2 or 3 things that they learned during that clinic that they really liked, or a drill that they really liked, so that when they go and write the coach an email the next day, they have the confidence to know, okay, like this is what I learned, this is what I liked, these are some tips that she's, because a week or a couple days later you might forget. So if you have the confidence of knowing that that's what I need to do, and then also asking good questions during the clinic and the training, and then just like telling the athletes to smile, when the coach is bringing everyone in, right? So like a coach is, okay, everyone bring it in, right? The coach brings it in and everyone kind of comes around, right? And then the athletes look like this. And then the coach like, so how was that drill? And all the athletes are like this.
Yeah.
It's like, no. Like you gotta engage with the coach. You gotta smile and you say, it was great, loved it. Or like, let's do that one again. You have to interact with the coach. So I think it's giving them like that information so they can go in like knowing what to expect, what to do, what to say, so they can just have a little more confidence.
You know what? I love it, right? What a value add. You're not just running exposure. You really are invested in your, I'm going to call it clients and athletes' success.
Yeah.
So,
what do you tell your athletes?
Yeah, so thank you for that question, right? So when I have performance anxiety, right, I'm worried. So there's a couple of things I'm asking athletes to really think about. One, they're afraid to make mistakes. I'm like, how long are you going to be there? Like 6 to 8 hours. You're going to make mistakes. So give yourself grace. The coaches don't care if you make a mistake. They actually are watching how you move through the mistake. 2, focus on what you can control, right? Which is your attitude, your communication, your effort, your enthusiasm, right? Focus on what you can control. And then I'm always bringing athletes back to their breath, right? If they're feeling a little bit anxious, I have a technique where we'll focus on our breath. Inhale, calm, exhale, confidence. Just really focus on the breath. If they've never been to the venue, let's go do a peek, find the venue. So visually, I know what it is I'm walking into. And if we've been working together a while, I want you tonight, I want you to visualize and see yourself playing well, playing hard, or watching some of your huddle of you playing well, right? Get that positive highlight reel, right? With your breath as you go into the venue.
Yeah, and I want to highlight that first thing you mentioned, which is mistakes. And I think when athletes go to a college recruiting camp and they're working with the coach and the coach is right there, you can see him watching you. Coaches want to see you take a step outside your comfort zone and maybe do a skill that you're not super comfortable with and mess up a little bit. Coaches would rather you do that than just play it safe and just use it as, a showcase moment. The coaches, they're the best in the country. They should be coaching you. They want to coach you, and they want to see how coachable you are. And they want to see, if you mess up, do you sprint back or do you jog back?
Right.
So I love that you mentioned that.
Yeah, so you know what? A lot of athletes come in and they have perfectionist traits, right?
Yeah.
And really, through a series of discussions and exercise, I'm like, do you want to be on team perfect or team relentless? I'm like, relentless. I'm like, but what team are you on, right? When you're on team relentless, you're willing to make mistakes. You're willing to try. You're willing to learn. You're coachable. And it's effort oriented. And when you can really get there, you stay so in the moment.
Yeah. And these coaches, their job is to spot talent and potential. So they're looking for potential. They're not looking for perfect. They're looking for someone that they can coach who will be a good fit for their team and what they're looking for. They are not looking for perfect. They're looking for that potential.
Yeah, so are there any other intangibles? You talked about smile, hustle, running, asking questions. Any other intangibles that you think coaches are looking for?
Yeah, the coaches, they want to get to know your personality. It's culture fit is maybe almost just as important as athletic and academic fit. So letting them see your personality a little bit, like if you're like a little quirky, or if you have a great sense of humor, or whatever it is, like they want to get to know you. And I think you can do that. You'll definitely do that more on your like unofficial and official visits when you get on campus and get a tour, and have those one-on-one FaceTimes and Zooms and stuff later on in your recruiting process. But I think it starts like at a college camp when you work with them and asking them questions and letting them see a little bit of your personality. And you can be a little goofy. And I mean, you're playing a sport, you're playing lacrosse. I feel like you should have fun with it, and it's just letting them see your personality.
You know what? You said something so important. You should have fun with it, right?
Yeah.
Like, if we actually go back to our younger self, why did we play? We were having so much joy, so much fun. I was in a training this weekend on flow, and it was really interesting because our brain, when we're in a state of flow, we create these alpha brain waves, which are identical when we're in a state of joy and happiness. Right? So the more we can make it fun, the more we can find our joy and let go of like the expectations, the stress, the perfectionism, the better, the more freely we can play.
I personally play so much better when I'm having fun. I'm on, even now, I'm in my late 30s. Like, I play in an adult league, and I just play so much better when I'm having fun. And it's so much fun. Like, yeah.
So what are some of the things you do to try and bring fun to your event?
Yeah, so fun is like a core value of ours. I think the first thing is hiring fun staff. Our lineup staff are so much fun. They're all young women, all field hockey coaches, and on our lacrosse side, of course, we have some lacrosse coaches. And I think, when you greet athletes at an event, having a smile, creating that energy, having fun music playing in between clinics or during check-in. And I think just like creating that environment is so important, even just that first interaction you have with like a staff member. Because it's just everything is so much better when you're having fun. So.
Yeah, I love it. And imagine if everybody had a core value: have fun.
Yeah, it's this core value and my personal core value. So.
Yep, I'm with you. All right, so boom, you're looking ahead in the next 2-3 years. What's the vision for how the lineup will grow and evolve? What's next?
It's so funny you asked me that, because my dad and I had a meeting. He's he's my business partner, and we had a meeting about kind of what the future looks like. And I think it is really hard to like determine what a couple of years down the line will look like, because things change so drastically in this space. I mean, like, look at all these like NCAA changes and NIL changes.
Yeah.
Like, even one thing that was really exciting is we invited a group of college athletes to become NIL athletes with us. 2 years ago, I never would have like thought that we'd be doing that, So I think I think we're definitely going to focus on our core business, which is our field hockey lineup events and our lacrosse lineup events. And we also have another business, Euro Tour, which is those European camps I was talking about earlier. But we'll see. I think, maybe
it's changing so quickly.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I personally don't know the portal for field hockey, but the portal right now for basketball is just totally insane.
Yeah.
Right? And so would anybody have predicted that?
No. The NCAA and everything, the change, it's like year to year, and you just kind of have to see. And it's also listening to the athletes, listening to the college coaches, listening to the parents, and see what their needs and wants are, and really really adjusting to that, like year by year, even month by month. So.
Yeah. And the NIL deals have introduced tremendous benefits, but also tremendous anxiety.
Okay, I was just thinking that, because So I'm not huge into social media, and I do think that social media, I'm sure you know better than anyone, can create like a lot of mental health issues. But with like women, especially in the NIL space, it's like all about having a great social media presence. And yeah, that is like, I don't know if I would love that when I was in college, about this kind of pressure of having this structured or certain type of social media. But yeah, I mean, I can only imagine that kind of creates. What are your experiences?
Well, think about it. We were students and athletes, and that was pretty full, right? And we had a little social life, right? And so now it's like students, athletes, and for some athletes, some really major endorsement deals.
Yeah.
Right? To manage and, not get fully distracted so that you can deliver on the athletic field and execute in the academic world. Yeah. Right? So, the game has definitely changed.
Yeah.
So kudos to you for inviting some athletes to be, into some NIL deals with you. Fabulous strategy.
Yeah, we're definitely budgeting for that this upcoming year, which is really exciting because especially in field hockey and women's lacrosse, like, our athletes aren't getting $500,000 deals like in basketball and football and stuff. It is like kind of unfair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our deals aren't that big, but at least there's something.
Well, which is terrific. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So, you know what, right, you have a wealth of wisdom. I have some wisdom. What's one thing you wish more people understood about the recruiting process, either from an athlete's perspective or a parent's perspective? Like, if you had a little gift of wisdom that you wanted to share.
Yeah, I think, especially if you're starting or in the middle of your journey, it's a little different. Actually, no, this could apply if you're at the end of your recruiting journey. But like college coaches, if they're not responding to you, if they're not watching you, if you feel like they're not interested in you, unless they've specifically told you you're not a good fit for our program, they probably just don't know enough about you yet. So just keep sending them information, creating good highlight videos, and working with them at camps and clinics, trying to get to showcases that you know that they'll be at. And yeah, it's just, and until they tell you you are not a good fit, they just don't know enough about you yet. So you need to give them all the information about you so that they can determine if you're a good fit for their program and school. Unfortunately, like unlike swimming or track, where it's like, here's my time, and then they know, and then here's my SAT scores and my 1 mile swim time, whatever. That coach will know, like, oh, this athlete's a good fitter, But in sports like field hockey and lacrosse, that is not the case. I mean, these coaches, they need to watch like multiple highlight videos. They need to see you multiple times. They need to coach you to get to know you before they can make a decision. So there's a lot to know, and don't get discouraged. It just means that you need to keep sending them more information, and make more videos and keep sending them emails. Email.
Nice. And you know what? I love that you said don't get discouraged. I know some athletes where a coach didn't show up for Zoom, and athlete got really aggravated. I go, they're people. People mess up. Athletes mess up. Just send a follow-up and be patient. And the athlete was like ready to, I just want to write them off the list. And I'm like, they could have had a car accident. Something could have come up, right? So I love.
So busy.
Yes.
They get like hundreds of emails a day, and most of them are parents, and their travel schedule is insane. I mean, yeah, don't be discouraged if they miss an email or Zoom or anything, because they are just people and they're very busy people. So
yeah. All right, I'm going to offer a little piece of wisdom. My wisdom is there's a lot of opportunities. And sometimes athletes get very fixated on, like, I got to go D1 or I'm not going.
Yeah.
And again, my daughter's experienced different sport. Well, she says, I'm going D3. And there's a lot of academic money in D3.
Yeah.
So that, really begin to think about, I love that you said, like, make that list of 20 and think about what do you want your college experience, which includes field hockey, school, and social, like, what do you want it to be?
Yeah.
So,
why do, in your experience, why do athletes write off Division threes? Like, why are they paying for that D1? Is it ego?
I think it's ego. And ego's not a bad thing, right? Ego is usually what allows us to rise up. But the percentage of athletes who actually have the opportunity to play in sport is pretty small, right? So whether you play D3, NIA, JUCO, D2, D1, it's a pretty significant accomplishment.
Yeah.
And we have breakout performances at all levels.
Yeah.
Right? That level doesn't define you.
Yeah, it's funny because right before this, I was on a call with a mom who's actually making a field hockey movie.
Okay.
We were talking about how D3, the level is so high. And I play, as I mentioned, on an adult league, and there's some D3 girls that I play with, and they are so good. Like, the level of D3, and then you can maybe play multiple sports. You can study abroad. Chances are D1, you can't study abroad. I mean, there's just so many benefits playing D3. I'm a big supporter of Division 3.
Yeah, so, at the end of the day, it's finding the right fit, right? It's finding the right fit.
Yeah.
So you have a couple exciting events coming up this year, right? Yeah. So let's put a little spotlight. Tell us about some of the events that are ahead for your organization this year.
Yeah, so on the field hockey side, we have a Division I event June 7th, just outside of Philly. And then on July 19th, just outside of Boston, we have our big mega event on July 19th. And then for lacrosse, we have our big summer mega event July 7th, just outside of Philly. So those are 3 events coming up that we're very excited about.
And is there still capacity if there are athletes who are interested in learning more? Is there still capacity to register?
Yes. So actually all of those were previously sold out because we do cap registration so that all those athletes are guaranteed to work with all their schools. But we just reopened registration for all 3 of them. So they're all on our website, and they're all good to go to register for. And if you have questions, just shoot us an email. It's a little bit different than a standard camp because you need to go in and create your own fully customized schedule, and our team can help you do that.
All right, super. So I'll have all this in the notes below, but what's the best website address? I'll let you share that, and the best email if people want to get a hold of you and learn more.
Yeah, it's lineupfh.com or lineupblacks.com. And you can just shoot us an email at lineupfh.com or info@lineupblacks.com. So.
All right, fabulous. You know what, Tori, we hit a lot. Is there anything else you want to make sure we touch upon?
Yeah, I have mentored like hundreds. I want to say thousands, technically thousands if you include all the kids that came on webinars. And, it's over the last decade. And, I see a bunch of them now that they're in college or graduated college or, they're seniors in high school now. All of them ended up exactly where they should be and wanted to be and should have gone. And they're all ended up so ecstatic and happy with the final results. And I know when you're in the midst of the recruiting process, it's oh my God, what if I don't get what I want? What if I don't get my top reach schools? What if, and it's what if I don't play anywhere? It will all pan out exactly as it's supposed to, and you will end up exactly where you are supposed to, and it will be okay.
That's powerful, right? So trust the process, work the process, right? And
100%.
Right? Focus on what you can control. And a good mentor of mine once said, you pick a college and you're going to step on a campus with thousands of other 18-year-olds. How can it not work out?
Yeah.
Right? Because they're all doing the same. They're all leaving home. They're all a little bit nervous. And they all want to meet people, have fun, and do well. Right? So I love that the folks that you've mentored have all landed well. and have been happy.
All of them, and you will too. If you are watching this, you will too.
Fabulous. You know what, Tori, I am so honored that we connected and so happy that you joined us. So listen, check out her website to learn more. So thank you so much, Tori. Stay well.